let's get started with some maths. Okay, so going on to double relationships. So you are used to seeing graphs with just one line or one relationship. Here today, we are going to be looking at how two relationships can be shown on the same graph. Okay, so if we have a look at the scenario, so there isn't much of a backstory. It just says minibus service, there's a flat rate of 400 Rand for the day. Saloon service is 4 Rand per kilometer. Okay, so if we look at the graph, we have two very different relationships. As you can see, our saloon one is a directly proportional relationship because as the distance increases, so does the cost, the amount in Rand. Whereas the minibus is just a flat rate of 400 Rand. Okay, so now I'm just going to test your knowledge here and ask you this. If you were just given this graph, would you be able to come up with a general formula for each company? Yes or no? Can you come up with a formula just by looking at this graph? What do you guys think?
Sonia is confidently saying yes.
Okay, good, good. Anyone else? Do you think we can make a formula just by looking at this? Maybe, okay. Got a 50-50 answer there. Yes.
Ompile from Australia agrees.
Yeah. I think we can. Yes. Okay, so there's more yeses than nos. Now, does anyone want to maybe try come up with a formula for anyone? Do we have any brave souls? Ompile, you know, since you're almost falling asleep because it's midnight in Australia, don't you think you should maybe speak to us so you can wake up a little bit?
Yeah, no, let's give Ompile a challenge. And we're also interested in hearing that Aussie accent.
Ompile, want to try? Anyone want to try?
You guys are so shy today. It's unlikewise.
Because I'm new here, isn't it? Siamo, for anyone, choose one that you feel confident in. The constant line, okay. So for the minibus, okay, so no, Phyllis, I see your message. Can I ask you to direct message Kia, please? Okay, Tiamos, Phyllis. Yeah, can I ask you to message Kia just based on what you said? Thanks. Okay, Tiamo, you said 400 divided by X. Okay. So looking at the minibus, can everyone see that it is literally 400 Rand, whether you travel 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. So it really doesn't matter. If you don't use that minibus, you're still going to pay 400 Rand. But if you travel 500 kilometers, you're still paying 400 Rand. So can we agree that we don't actually have to do much calculating? The minibus cost is just going to be 400 Rand. So they say 400 Rand per day. We don't have to divide by hours because it doesn't matter how many hours you use the bus for, you pay 400 Rand. Yes, Yamo, well done. Okay, so you can say y is equal to 400. Thank you so much for attempting that and then getting the right answer, Yamo. Good answer. Okay, so that was the easy one, I would say. Okay, because you can see it's just the flat rate, it's 400 Rand, regardless of anything. Let's look at the saloon sedan. Okay, so we've got saloon. Now it's quite hard to tell how much it is per kilometer. Yes, I did tell you in the beginning here, but if I didn't tell you, it's very hard to read what that could be. Okay, so when in doubt, it might not always be clear. Always go find a point that is exact. So for example, over here, we've got an exact point. At 50 kilometers, it's 200 Rand. Or here's another exact point. Okay, it's 400 Rand for 100 kilometers. So if you just take any of those points, so we can go with, okay, 400 Rand, you can travel 100 kilometers. Okay, so if I want to know how much it is for 1 kilometer, so we can make a formula, I just divide by 100, which will show me that it is 400 Rand for 1 kilometer. So it's not always easy to read off the graph, so always find a definite point. So now that I know how much it is for 1, I can make a formula. So I could say that my cost is equal to 4 Rand. You can say times by X, or you can say times by number of kilometers, or times by distance. I just like to write number of kilometers because we are looking at kilometers specifically, and it goes up 4 Rand for every kilometer traveled. Okay, so can you guys see that it is indeed possible to make formulas based on just looking at a graph? Is everyone happy with this? If not, let me know in the chat if you want me to re-explain something. But if you're happy and understand, give me a thumbs up or smiley face in the chat. Let me see where we're at.
We already have 3 thumbs up. Sonia is just blushing. She loves you. Sipe Sihle is asking for you to re-explain.
Okay, super secret. Which one? Both or the saloon one? What if you use the 200, then what? Okay, good question. Very good question. So like I said, find a definite point and 200 Rand. So over here, let me just go over it in green, was another point. So looking at that point, we're saying that for 200 kilometers, oh no, sorry, 200 Rand, apologies. For 200 Rand, you travel 50 kilometers. Okay, and same thing applies for what we did over here. We want to know how much it is for 1 kilometer, so we can make a general formula. So to get 50 to 1, we divide by 50. We divide the 200 by 50, and again, it gives us an answer of 4 Rand equals 1 kilometer. So it really doesn't matter which point you use, you should get the same answer. Okay. Usisiwe. Okay. So guys, let's just start from scratch a little bit, because we have had a few requests to re-explain. Okay, I could maybe set it up differently as well. So sorry, let me just, okay, so looking at the minibus. Can we see that the minibus line is a completely straight line and it stays at 400 the entire time? So it does not matter if the graph extends all the way to 200 kilometers, it's always going to be 400 Rand based on what we can see here, which means it is a flat rate. It is a rate that will be charged regardless of how far you travel. So if you, as you can see, if you don't travel anywhere, sorry, let me just get my pen. If you don't travel anywhere, so that's at 0 kilometers, you are still paying 400 Rand. You've got the minibus. If you don't use it, you still pay 400 Rand. If you travel 120 kilometers, you still pay 400 Rand. Okay, so that's why the equation or formula is not that complicated, because it's just 400 Rand. That's it. So the cost for the minibus is 400 Rand. We don't times by number of kilometers because it doesn't matter how many kilometers we travel. So we don't times, we don't divide anything because it just is 400 Rand. Okay. Then if we look at the saloon scenario, as you can see, it is different because if you don't travel anywhere, you don't pay any money because you start at 0 and 0. So if you're at 0 kilometers, you pay 0 Rand. However, the more you travel, the more you're going to pay. So when you're at 20, you are at about 80 Rand. Okay, so it's going up. Then you get to 40, you're paying slightly more. If you travel 60 kilometers, you're paying even more. So the price is increasing as the distance increases. Okay, so now it's more of a proper formula where we actually have to work it out. So to work out the general formula, normally you need to know what it costs per kilometer, because if I know what it is for 1 kilometer, I can work out what it is for any amount of kilometers. So it's always good to know what the price is of one thing. So whatever we're looking at, in this instance, we're looking at kilometers. So it's good to know what 1 kilometer is equal to, because then I could say, okay, well, if you know what 1 kilometer is equal to, how much would it cost to travel 500 kilometers? Then you know just to times by 500. Or I could ask you, how much would it cost you to travel 33, a random number? Okay, because as long as you know what 1 is equal to, you can work out any other amount. Okay, but now looking at the graph, it's very hard to see how much it is for 1 kilometer, because 1 is situated somewhere over here in the graph. Okay, or maybe like a little bit closer. It's really hard to read from the graph in that sense. So that's why I say, if you can't read what 1 is equal to, look for a definite point that's really easy to read. And I chose this point over here. I mean, there could be other points that are easy for you to read, and I chose this point. Okay, so I know at the first point that it is at 50, because it's between 40 and 60. And I know that the price is 200 Rand. Okay, so I know that for every 50 kilometers traveled, it's going to cost 200 Rand. But I don't want to know what 50 kilometers is. I want to know what 1 is, because if I know what 1 is, I can work out any other distance or any other charge. So I try to work out what 1 kilometer is. So I know what 50 is, so I divide by 50, because anything divided by itself gives you 1. And what I do to the one variable, I must do to the other. So I divide by 50, which will give me 4 Rand. So for every 1 kilometer traveled, you're going to be paying 4 Rand. And now that we know this information, we can make a formula. Okay, so cost is equal to 4 Rand per kilometer, or you can say times by number of kilometers, or you can say 4 Rand times by X. As long as you're saying 4 times by something to do with the distance. I hope that explanation helps a little bit better. Is it Janu? I don't know how to say your name. Dale is not available tonight, so you're stuck with me, unfortunately. But other than that, is everyone okay with this explanation? Does it make a bit more sense? I know that the saloon one is a little bit more tricky. Okay, good. So I'm seeing yeses. Great, guys. Okay, so the main thing here was to just clarify that you can make formulas based on looking at a graph and all the information given there. Okay, awesome. So let's try a new scenario now. So we've got Mrs. Tweed has a burst geyser and needs a plumber to repair it. We have fast fixed plumbers. They offer an hourly rate of 200 Rand per hour. And early bird plumbers offers an hourly rate of 100 Rand an hour with a call out fee of 250 Rand. Okay. So first things first, let's look at the important information that they've given us. So the first thing we need to take note of is that there are two companies that we're comparing here. So it's going to be a similar situation like above, where we're going to have two relationships. Okay, so we've got fast fix plumbers. Okay, and they charge 200 Rand an hour. Then we've got early bird plumbers. They charge 100 Rand an hour and a call out fee of 250. Oh, okay. We've got Eco Beavers here already giving us the answer. Don't look if you haven't tried it yet. I want you guys to try it by yourselves. But thank you to those fast typers. I appreciate you. Okay, so we've highlighted the important things. Let's look at question 1. Complete the table below by calculating the missing values A, B, and C. So looking at our table, we've got our hours and then our different companies and what they charge. So I'm going to ask you guys to quickly try A, B, and C for me. Please don't look at the chat. Okay, let's start with A. Work out A for me. Is it Ave? Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, pause on the answers in the chats. Just want to give everyone a chance to work it out. I'll let you know when I want to see them. Okay. Is there anyone that wants to speak and tell us how they got A? How did they calculate A? Anyone?
Don't be shy, guys. We're family. We're like tight, you know.
Yeah, I know I'm new here, but I don't bite. And I like hearing your voices. Okay, so guys, let's just look at A. I'm seeing all these other answers coming through. We don't want it right now. So A, I can see that a lot of you said 400 Rand, and it is indeed 400 Rand. So let's just clarify how we got that for those of you that maybe didn't answer or didn't get it. Oh, okay. So I see that you guys are giving me how you did it, which is exactly right. Okay, so for A, you took the 200 Rand and you times by 2 because it was for 2 hours and you got 400. Okay, for B, how did we get B? Tell me how you got it, not just the answer. Anyone want to tell me how they got their answer for B? I'm seeing some different answers though for B.
Yeah, no, a whole lot of controversy.
So we need to see who is right. Sayanda, that is correct. Okay, good. So as you can see, very similar to working out A. We take our 200 Rand times by the number of hours, and by B, it is 6 hours. So 200 times 6 gives you 1,200 Rand. Okay. Good. Now, just remember, guys, when you are giving your answers, please include the Rand sign, okay? Oh, okay. I see Plamedi said why 200? Because for A and B, we are looking at, sorry, let me match the colors. A and B, we are looking at fast fix. And if we look at the top here, fast fix says they charge 200 an hour. That's the only charge they have. So for every hour worked, it's 200. So now that it's 6 hours, it's 6 times 200. Okay. Ooh, we've got lots of people jumping the gun here with the answers, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the enthusiasm. Okay, so C. Let's see the answers. I've seen some already.
Yeah, no, we have fast fingers here, hey?
Sayanda, you are halfway there. There's another fee that's involved. Remember, early bird plumbers have 2 costs involved in their calculation. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm seeing majority of the same answer, but I'm seeing some different ones as well. So let's have a quick look. Does anyone want to volunteer how to do it? Anyone? Any takers? Okay. Guess we'll just carry on listening to my voice then. All right. So C. Now remember, early bird plumbers charge 100 Rand for every hour, but they also charge a call out fee. So that means as soon as they arrive, they've already charged you 250 Rand just for going to your house to help you fix your plumbing. Okay, so before they even worry about the hours, you pay call out fee or a fixed charge of 250 Rand, plus you pay 100 Rand times the hours, and the hours by C is 3. Okay, so remember BODMAS, we need to do the multiplication first. And with MASLET, we need to show as many steps as possible because we get lots of method marks. So rather do too many steps than too little. And you get an answer of 550 Rand. Okay, so for those of you that did not get the answer the first time, if it still doesn't make sense, let me know in the chat. But if it makes sense, you can just carry on. Abe, I'm assuming light bulb moment, it clicked, so you're all good now. Good, good. Okay. All right, you guys are really doing so well in this topic. That's so impressive. Good, I'm glad it makes sense. Okay, so now moving on to the next question. Determine an equation to calculate the total charge in rands for each plumber. Mpili, I'm glad that you are fine now. Okay. Oh my word, did I not get an answer straight away? User. Okay, I see what you're saying. But where did you get the 450 from?
I think they looked at number 2 and then they added 100 Rand. Because if you look from number from 250, you see that there's 100 Rand difference between 250 and 350. And then there's also
yes.
a difference.
Yes, and that's perfect. Thanks, Kia. 100%. So as you can see, with fast fix plumbers, for example, it keeps going up by 200 Rand. So that's also another way to look at it. Okay, but obviously not at the last step, because the last step jumps from 3 to 6 hours. So it does not go up by 200 Rand. So here is where we would encounter a problem, and that's why we need a formula. Okay, then if we look at early bird plumbers, it started at 250, but then it's increased by 100 Rand each time. So yes, that answer is perfect. Okay, so question 2, guys, determine an equation to calculate the total charges in rands for each plumber. So a formula, for fast fix, I'm just going to call FFP, fast fix plumbers. What formula would we use? A general formula. So if I had to say to you, what would it cost me to use fast fix plumbers for 12 hours? Because we don't have it on the table. So how would I work that out? And then if I had to change my mind and say, oh no, wait, I actually don't need them for 12 hours. I need them for 10 hours. How would I work that out? So I need a general formula so I could change my hours, but just have a general formula to replace the number of hours so I can just work it out easily. Okay, and what is the constant difference formula? Okay, so if I want to work out the costs, I'm going to say cost is equal to, and can we agree we did actually do it when we worked out A and B on the side here, we said 200 Rand and we times by the hours. So general formula would just be me saying times by number of hours. So that way I could say, how much will it cost for 16 hours? You just substitute 16 into this place. How much would it cost for 8 hours? Just substitute it into this place in the formula. Okay. Tiamo, also good. Perfect. You could also say 200 times X. Okay. Then looking at early bird plumbers. So I'm just going to abbreviate here, early bird, so EBP. This one's slightly different. But all we're doing is taking how we worked out C and putting it into a general formula. Anyone want to give it a go? Okay, so I'm not getting any response. So let's do this. Okay, so if I want to work out the cost of using early bird plumbers, I know that straight away, according to my scenario, that they pay charge 250 Rand up front straight away. Before they even start working on your geyser or whatever you need fixing, they charge you 250 Rand just for arriving. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. 250 Rand. Plus you pay an hourly rate. Okay, so it would be your 100 Rand times by your number of hours, or you can say times by X. So again, it's a general formula. So if I said, okay, how much would it cost me to use early bird for 8 hours? It's not in the table, so how will I work it out? I can use this formula now. I just put 8 hours in over here. Or if I want to know any amount of hours, I can just use this general formula. Okay. Nice, Ave. Nice, Yanda. Nice, Yamu.
No, these people are on fire.
Nice. These are really good answers. You guys really seem to be understanding. Okay. So, which is really important because formulas are a really big part of patterns and relationships. So now let's put these formulas to the test. And I'm going to ask you guys to try question 3, but please do not give me the answers yet in the chat. I want everyone to just give it a go. Sorry, how is your name pronounced? Will you unmute and tell me?
Can you please speak up a little bit louder? We can't hear you.
Yeah, Mpile.
Is it pronounced Ave?
I can't hear anything. Can you hear, Kia?
I can't either.
Ave. Thank you for making me aware. If I mispronounce anyone else's names, let me know. Okay. Question 3. Don't give me the answer yet. Good, I'm glad, Siamo. Thank you. Okay, guys, if you're ready to give me answers, let's see them.
Umpile is so kind.
Yeah.
It must be an Aussie thing.
Okay, so I see we've all said that. No, wait, there's different answers. We've got some saying early bird, some saying fast fix.
Sithokozile, if you still interested in seeing the lesson, just wait for a day or two. This lesson will be uploaded on YouTube. You can catch it on there. But in the meantime, please join us. You'll love us.
Thanks for still pulling through and joining the lesson. We are busy with a scenario comparing 2 plumbing companies and their charges. Okay, so all of you that said early bird, you are correct. Well done. So let's look at how we got that answer. We obviously had to do some sort of calculations, right? So let's start with fast fixed. Okay, so we know our formula for fast fixed plumbers is 200 Rand times number of hours. Okay, and we just substitute the hours into our formula, and we're looking at 8 hours, which gives us a total cost of 1,600 Rand. If we use fast fix, then early bird, plumbing. We've got our formula, which is 250 Rand plus 100 Rand times number of hours. Okay, we substitute the hours in. Okay, and yes, like I said, we get lots of method marks. I'm going to show you every single step. And that means we'll get a total amount of 1,050 Rand. Okay, so that's just the calculation. So a question like this could be for 5 to 6 marks. Okay, so 2 marks for showing calculations for each plumbing company, and a last mark for actually answering the question, saying early bird plumbing, obviously write it out in full in a test, will be cheaper.
Kamohelo wrote
Also
all the
include by how
calculations.
much it's cheaper. Sorry, Kia.
Oh, no, I was just saying that Kamohelo wrote all the calculations in the chat. So that is impressive.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
proud of you.
And I see Sianda also, well, at least, yeah, nice, answered the question. So early bird plumbing will be cheaper. That is what they actually asked. Okay. Then looking at graphs, because remember, when it comes to patterns and relationships, the 3 common things that always come up is formulas, tables, we've looked at both of them, and then a graph. Sometimes you get given the graph and you have to answer questions or make your own formula, or you do it in this order, table, formula, and have to draw your own graph. So I'm going to give you a few moments to try draw this graph. Everything is set up for you, so it'll be a quick setup. You don't have to think. Your headings are already there for you. Your axes have already been labeled. You've got your intervals. You're going up in hundreds on your y-axis, and you're going up in ones on the x-axis. Okay. Doesn't have to be the neatest graph. I'm just going to fill in the amounts here, so it's easy to see the table is right next to it. Okay, we said A was 400, B was 1,200. Let me know if you need help starting this graph. But for now, can we just set up a graph? Because it's always important to practice graphs in case they do ask you to draw one. Because it's a lot of marks. You can get up to 7 marks for a graph. Let me know if you need help with the graph or you're still setting it up. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes to set it up, and then I want to go through plotting the points just to make sure we all got it. Okay, so 2 more minutes. Alzundi, you're done. Good. Nice. Good work. If you guys are done with the setup, send me a thumbs up in the chat so I know if I can start doing the graph. Okay, perfect. It looks like I'm getting a lot of thumbs up and a lot of people saying they're done. So let's have a look. Okay, so we are plotting 2 different relationships on the same set of axes. So we're going to have 2 lines on the same graph. Okay, so let's look at fast fixed plumbers first. So I'm going to be using these amounts here as well as the hours. So looking at the first 2 points, we've got 0 and 0. So on our graph, zoom in a little bit, we've got 0 and 0 as our first point. Then we have 1 and 200. So we look for 1 hour and where it intersects with 200, which is over there. Then the next point is 2 hours. So we find 2 hours on the graph and see where it lines up with 400. Okay, we do the same with 3 hours. We follow the line until we get to 600. And then we jump all the way to 6 hours, follow the line up until 1,200, which is right at the top. Okay, so I'm going to join the lines. Apologies, it isn't completely straight, but you will use a ruler. Okay, and then you can label the line. So it's fast fix, or you can make a key or legend on the side with your different color, just so that the marker can see which graph is which. Okay, do we have any questions with plotting that first graph? If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Okay, then let's look at early birds. So early bird, we are focusing on the bottom values and the hours. So the first point is 0 and 250. So in line with 0 and 250 would be in the middle between 200 and 300. Okay. Then our next one is 1 hour and 350. So we follow the line by 1 and we get to 350, which is in the middle between 300 and 400. Then our next point is 2 hours and 450. So we follow the line until we get to 450, which is in the middle there. 550 in 3 hours. So 3 hours until we get to 550, which is over here in the middle. And then our last point is 6 hours and 850, which is over there. Then we join our points. And again, however you want to, can label the line or make a key, because you get a mark for doing this, sometimes even 2 marks.
Salome says they're confused. Do you perhaps would want to tell us what is confusing you? Maybe we can unmute you and then you tell us clearly where you lost us. Or you can write in chat, Salome, it's fine.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Do we understand how this graph is plotted? Let me know in the chat, thumbs up, smiley face, or no.
Sihle is asking, ma'am, please re-explain EBP.
Okay, so that's the green line. And all I did was look at the table. Okay, here are our early bird amounts. And then we've got our hours, because our graph is got the amounts on the side and our hours at the bottom. Okay, so based on the scenario, they told us early bird plumbers charge you 250 Rand straight away. So as you can see in the table, even if they don't end up working for very long, they don't even complete an hour, you still have to pay 250 Rand. Hence, on the graph, we start at 250 in line with 0. Okay, we don't start at 0 and 0 because they charge you 250 Rand before they even start working. So that's the one difference between the 2 graphs. We start at 250. Then all I've done is just moved along the table. We've got 1 hour. So I went to 1 hour. Okay, and I followed the line up until the table told me it cost 350 Rand. So I followed the line and I plotted my point. And then I did the same with 2 hours, 3 hours, all the way to 6 hours. Okay, so I followed the line for 6 hours up until the amount they told me at 6 hours, which was 850. And I plotted my last point and I joined the line.
Salome would like you to explain the fast fix plumbers, because EBP we just covered now. So I think you just need to go through fast fix plumbers.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so fast fixed, guys. So all I'm doing to plot these points is just looking at the table. All the values are there. That's how we always plot our graph. We need a table or we need some values. Okay, and we're looking at hours versus the charge. So our hours have stayed the same the whole time. We've got 0, 1, 2, 3, and 6. Fast fix, their costs are here. And according to the scenario, if they don't do any work, they don't get any money or they don't charge any money. So hence, I plotted the first point, which we can see here in the table is 0 and 0. So it starts there because if they don't do any work, they don't make any money. Then at the table, it says 1 hour costs 200 Rand. So I look at my hours because that's the bottom of the graph here. And I follow one. Okay, you obviously don't draw that in. And you plot your point at 200 Rand. Then you look at the table again at 2 hours, it's 400 Rand. So you follow the line up until 400 Rand and you plot your points. There always needs to be 2 points each time that you, well, yeah, 2 values that meet. So you can plot your point in the graph. and you go all the way up to 6 hours. Okay, CPC Claire, thank you. I'm glad that all makes sense now. Okay, I see. I understand now. Everyone else happy with both graphs? Okay, so just to clarify, guys, with graphs, sometimes they can give you a question like this where they've set up the graph for you. Okay, other times you might have to draw a graph from scratch. So it's just important to know that when you have to draw your own graph from scratch, that you remember a heading, because you normally get a mark for that, that you label your axes, and that your intervals, your increments here are always equal. If you're going from 0 to 100, you have to go up in hundreds the entire way. So as you can see here, they went from 0 to 100. So they went up in hundreds. You can't choose 100, then all of a sudden go to 400, then to 600. It has to be equal increments because you also get a mark for that. So just general information for graph questions. Okay. How does everyone feel after today's lesson? Let me know in the chats. How do you feel about this topic? Awesome. Great. Good to see that you guys are all positive and had a good lesson and you're understanding better now. Scrumptious. Everything went great. I'm so glad. Good. Awesome. It was really nice working with you guys today. Hopefully, if there is ever next time, I'll get to hear your voices as well. Divine, look at these comments coming in. They're so great. But yes, it was nice meeting all of you. It was really nice being able to teach you, and I hope to see you guys again. Oh, I see a hand has been raised.
Let me quickly unmute.
Coming.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I came late because I had a match, but even I was still able to understand. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. Thanks for letting us know. And I'm glad that you could just pick up where you joined and yeah, understand. That's really great. Now you don't have to do any catching up.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I'm glad. So it was a good lesson all in all.
Yes, it was. Thank you.